Hey guys, Stevie Ryan. Today I'm here on, well, I'm having a bit of a skate adventure, which you'll see clips of that as I'm talking here. I'm also discussing a little bit of skateboarding, especially for the newbies and those skaters who more or less prefer to skate alone and how they can better progress. Because, well, I understand, not every skater has a big group of friends who can actually help them with progressing. And I especially find this is a special case if you're starting skating as an adult, like more or less I did. I used to skate a bit when I was 9, but I could never do any tricks. I could never do any tricks with the skateboard I had. I probably could, but I don't know. I think the board was a little bit too heavy for me at the time. I was like 9-year-old boy, and it was one of those sort of has like sort of a tail and a straight opening. It's like a real kid's toy. Plastic trucks and plastic wheels. You know the kind of I'm talking about. And it has like the grip tape is only on where the tail is, and then a little bit on where the top is. Which a good way to teach foot positioning, I suppose. So yeah, it wasn't all bad. It certainly made things easier for me to pick up the board again later in my adult life. And, well, I did try to Ollie off that old board, but yeah, just never could get the board off the ground, or at least not to a point where I could notice it anyway. Which brings me to the point of this video. So, let's say you're a beginner like me, you're skating alone, you have no friends to help you or support you, no one to tell you whether or not you've landed that trick properly or whatnot, or whether or not you're, say you're trying to Ollie, and you can't tell whether or not your trucks have come off the ground. You know how when you first start Ollieing, you try to Ollie, but you pop the board, boom, but it feels like the trucks haven't left the ground. And sometimes it actually can be hard to tell, even if you're looking at the board. Especially if you're not getting that high at the moment. And, don't go around thinking you're doing a bad job or anything like that, and that you're not progressing, because the chances are you probably are getting a little bit of height, but obviously you haven't learned how to level out the Ollie yet, so you're only getting a little bit of height here, so it might be a little bit off the ground, and you're going straight back down, but it doesn't look or feel like the wheel's lifted at all. Now the best way to find out, if you're by yourself, to find out if your trucks are actually coming off the ground or not, is to actually get a camera like this one and start recording yourself when you're practicing your Ollies or whatever tricks you're working on. Because this is the best way to find out how you're progressing, where you're going wrong, and how you can improve. And, because before I started grabbing my camera out again and recording my sessions, and now I've been trying to Ollie on and off for the last few years since I started picking up a skateboard. A lot of the time, during the 3 years I've been skating, I've just been doing what I did do when I was 9 years old, going down hills and just pushing and cruising around the street. That's it. Not worrying about anything else and just doing basic kick turns and stopping the board, things like that. I didn't really worry about tricks, and well, when I say on and off for 3 years, I would get off the board occasionally and leave it alone for a month, maybe 2 months, 6 months, whatever. And that was because I was getting bored on the skateboard. I was getting bored on the skateboard because I didn't know any tricks. I didn't think I could learn any tricks. From the occasional Ollie that I was able to do, it didn't feel like I was really getting anywhere. So this is when, luckily, I stumbled upon some of Mike Osterman's videos and some of his freestyle trick videos and tutorials, and so I started learning how to go into Primo and into rail stand, and ever since then it sort of opened up a new world to me in skating, which is why I'm more or less into freestyle skating now. And like when I still like to get out there and practice my ollies, and as far as my ollies go, I can't get very high on my ollies, and I don't know if that's because of my physical capabilities, because, well, I am a 220-pound man, but I do see people in videos who are bigger than me who can still ollie pretty high. Or maybe I've got a pretty bad board. Maybe it's time to replace it. Maybe I've used up all the pop already. I don't know. I've had this one about a year now, so yeah, maybe it's time to replace it. So anyway, my whole point is, and there were times that when I was practicing my ollie, yeah, I see, not getting too high, and I still haven't quite got the whole leveling the board out correctly. I'm still rocketing a bit, which is another reason why you might be thinking you're not lifting off the ground, because you're doing what is known as rocket ollies. And there's nothing wrong with rocket ollies, but yeah, I will agree that leveling them out and doing this whole motion does look cooler, it does look better, but to me, an ollie's an ollie. And the best way to find, and like I said, the best way to find out whether or not your ollies are indeed coming off the ground, whether or not you are getting higher, whether or not you're progressing with them at all, is to actually grab a camera and record your practices. And the same goes as if you're starting to get into practicing freestyle tricks, because there's nothing worse than getting stuck on, say, an ollie or some other trick, getting frustrated with it, and then have nothing else you can work on or maybe try. Because the thing with me, like especially when I'm doing ollies, I get annoyed with them pretty quick. I could probably practice them maybe 5 to 10 times in a row before I go, okay, time to do something else. Because I won't let myself get frustrated and angry enough that I'm throwing my board around like a 2-year-old, which I see some skaters do. Which is why I recommend freestyle skating, because, well, I recommend learn some freestyle tricks, because once you get enough freestyle tricks under your belt, you'll actually never get bored skating. And you'll actually get more comfortable with your board in the progress, which is only going to help your ollies even better, because you'll be more comfortable on your board, you'll be more confident when executing them, and you'll find you'll pop the board more often, you'll notice the board go up, and you will, even better, land them. Now, as for me, for a while, I started out doing ollie stationary. Now, some skaters recommend doing them while rolling, and I think it actually depends on the person. Now, as for me, I think, yeah, like I said, depends on the person. If you think you'd be able to pick up ollies easier while rolling, then go for it. But as for me, I'll talk about my journey with ollies. I went from doing them stationary, and then after that, I started doing a bit of a push, and then rolling, basically just rolling into a stop and then doing an ollie, which I actually find is actually a pretty good practice step just prior to trying them while rolling. Just give yourself a bit of a roll, and when the board stops, just straight away pop the ollie. Sort of a in-between practice step. And the reason why that is because, you might be cruising on the street, on the road, and doing them on some other surface or wherever it is you are. It just helps build you that confidence, that sort of thing. Doing it, rolling, and then waiting for the board to stop and doing it will help get rid of that fear of doing it while moving, because you're getting used to sort of getting yourself in that position when you're moving, which is basically the aim of the game, trying to get into that position. So after that, and after you get that down and you're doing that every try, you can start trying to do them while moving a little bit. So you might wait till there's a bit of movement left on your board, and then suddenly you're popping the ollie. And then after that, you might be able to do them faster and faster. And hopefully the more you progress and get better at them, eventually the whole height and leveling the board out will come to you as you go. So that's basically my number one tip, that if you're skating alone and you have no friends with you or anything like that, at least grab your video camera out so you can at least record your progress and see for yourself where it is you're going wrong and whatnot. So, like, sometimes I do know for sure that I do ollie while moving, sometimes I don't. Because sometimes I get into that trap where I pop the board and it goes straight up like this and goes straight back down, and sometimes it doesn't look like that the board even lifted up. Hence the rocket ollie I was talking about. So I'm actually gonna. So we've probably seen me do a few of these ollies now on the move now, because I am supposed to be having these clips displayed as I'm going. And so yeah, so thanks for joining me, and thanks for joining me on this little bit of a skate adventure, which turned out to be more like a tutorial and a lecture. But my whole point is that, yeah, if you get frustrated on a trick, there's always a bunch of other things you can be working on and progressing at and getting more comfortable with your board. And of course, if you're on your own, grab a camera, start recording what you're doing, and that's going to help you with anything you may be doing wrong with the trick. Alright, thanks for tuning in. I will catch you guys later.